How do binding corporate rules, BCRs, relate to GDPR? Have you ever wondered how companies protect your personal data when it crosses borders? This is where binding corporate rules come into play. Binding corporate rules are data protection policies that organizations use to comply with the General Data Protection Regulation when transferring personal data outside the European Union. These rules are especially important for multinational corporations or groups of companies that operate in different countries. So, what exactly are binding corporate rules? They are legally binding policies that must include all general data protection principles and enforceable rights. This ensures that personal data is safeguarded during transfers. The main goal of these rules is to allow companies to move personal data between their subsidiaries and branches in various countries while keeping a consistent level of protection across all locations. Now, let's talk about how binding corporate rules relate to the General Data Protection Regulation. These rules are recognized by the General Data Protection Regulation as a valid mechanism to ensure personal data is protected when it is transferred outside the European Union. However, for these rules to be effective, they must be approved by the relevant data protection authorities in the European Union. The approval process involves submitting the binding corporate rules to the appropriate data protection authority in the European Union. The European Data Protection Board provides an opinion on the draft decision before it receives final approval. This process ensures that the rules meet the necessary standards for data protection. Another important aspect of binding corporate rules is their legal binding nature. They are governed by the law of an EU member state and must be respected by all members of the group and their employees. This creates a strong framework for data protection compliance. In practical terms, binding corporate rules provide assurance that personal data is handled according to General Data Protection Regulation standards. This reduces the risk of non-compliance and the penalties that can come with it. Implementing these rules also involves establishing internal oversight mechanisms, such as appointing data protection officers, providing employee training, and creating procedures for managing potential violations. Furthermore, binding corporate rules help companies respond to audits and requests from data protection authorities. This simplifies compliance verification and lowers the chances of facing fines. When it comes to artificial intelligence and technology law, binding corporate rules play a vital role. They ensure that data used in artificial intelligence systems, which often involves cross-border data transfers, is managed according to strict privacy regulations. As artificial intelligence technologies increasingly relying on large datasets from various countries, implementing binding corporate rules helps technology companies align their data handling practices with General Data Protection Regulation requirements. This protects both the company and its users from potential legal and reputational risks linked to data breaches or privacy violations. In summary, binding corporate rules are essential for companies that operate internationally and need to ensure that personal data is protected during cross-border transfers. They serve as a key mechanism for compliance with the General Data Protection Regulation, providing a structured approach to data privacy and protection.